Suzuki. Back to Lane Hudson. Laine thought about the one-timer. Rips and score! Welcome to the Bell Center, Patrik Laine! Matheson drops. Suzuki walks it in, shoots, and that right pass. Look out, score! OT winner, Nick Suzuki, the follow-up of the Montreal Canadiens win on home ice.
That's happening last night at the Bell Center when the Montreal Canadiens win in overtime by the score 2-1 against the New York Islanders. The fun is back. I'm not going to try to use my rose lunettes en French. En French, we said mes lunettes rose about the Montreal Canadiens tonight. But I think I'm going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens happiness for the fans last night at the Bell Center. So thanks to join us on the great Wednesday night, December 4th, 2024. And tonight is a notebook is back in the house. We know Laval Rocket play tonight. They lead 1-0, approximately 5 minutes to go remaining on the second period against the Syracuse Crunch. Yeah, he did it. Joshua Watt scored a goal. Is 9 of the season, I believe, with the Laval Rocket. And then we have also a Montreal Canadiens prospect, Jacob Fuller. He played tonight. Again, the Connecticut is 1-1 after 40 minutes, and he has 16 shot save on the 17 tonight, and the score is 1-1 between both teams. And then we have Tyler Thorpe play tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Time with the Vancouver Giants. So going to give you a little bit more update about what's going on for the Montreal Canadiens prospect. But tonight, it's about what happened last night at the Bell Center. I think we have to celebrate some moment like last night because it did not happen a lot since the beginning of the season for the Montreal Canadiens fans to go to Bell Center to have something like happening yesterday with Patrik Laine. So that will be honestly the subject of the night between me and more other co-hosts I have tonight. Try to get a subject of the night right here. And it was the first goal with the Montreal Canadien. If you watch my video this morning, I'm talking about he's very upset. Can use upset with Sakoski. We'll talk about this a bit later in the show, and we'll give you a little bit more information what happening. Don't forget, tomorrow night we'll be back with the Montreal Canadiens. They play again the Nashville Predator. And then Friday night, we're going to do it again, Laval Rocket. They are back at home with the Toronto Marlins. We know Laval lost 5 of the last 6 games right now. So they have a little bit of slump, but now we have RHP. What is back and it looking a little bit better. So that's what's happening, guys. What is happening here at the Hockey Nation. But a notebook show without them, it would not be possible. That's the reason they are back tonight. We have a backup. We have a goalie backup back in the house tonight. Honestly, Marco is out. He's traveling. And Devin is in Florida. And now we have a Franks back in the house like maybe like the last time was a couple of weeks ago. And then in our tap, take the spot of Marco. So let's follow you to welcome both of them. They are back in the house tonight.
Hello,
Good to be back, Coach.
Hello, Frank. Hello, Hockey Nation. And Frank, it's an honor to be here with you today. We listen to you and Marco every Wednesday along with Coach, and it's always very entertaining. And you guys bring up some very good conversations, so I'm looking forward to that tonight. I'm pinch hitting for Marco, so I hope I can meet the expectations, but we'll try our best.
I have no doubt. It's going to be fun. Thanks for having me.
And so back to Yamo right now. Laine is in. But when we talk about in our tap, he brings some bad news. And of course, sometime. And the Syracuse just tied the game 1-1, Mr. Tap. Derek Pouliot scored a goal, a power play. And that's happening now between Syracuse and the Laval Rocket. And talking about bad news, the Boston Bruins take the lead 2-1 against Chicago Blackhawks at the beginning of the second period. So that's happening now. 2-1 Boston against the Chicago. I think the last time Toronto was losing 1-0 against Nashville. Jonathan Marchessault scored a goal, his 5th of the season. For Marchessault also, he was his 500 point in NHL. So congratulations, Marchessault. Un petit gars de chez nous, comme on dirait, les gens du Québec. So thanks to be with us, Franks, again. And hopefully doing well. What's going on with you with around you live, Franks?
Same old in that sense. But yeah, once again, glad to be here and talk shop with you boys and fine gentlemen.
Awesome to hear that. Of course, Mr. Nartap is from Toronto. He's in Toronto, so everything look good over there. And we have a couple of people knock the doors who want to welcome everything. I'm glad Nartap to see back LDP. I thought he was out. I think he would be like maybe dead. I don't know what could happen about that, but I'm really happy to see
Never.
LDP tonight, Mr. Nartap. I was really concerned about what could happen to him after his team.
Oh boy, what a colossal flop yesterday. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm sure Buffalo will step up next game. Do you know who they play next game, Coach?
No.
Winnipeg. So it's
Well,
going to
that's
be
a good
interesting.
time for them
Somebody's
to
got to
get
win.
Winnipeg Jets, honestly, right now. But
I know.
the good thing about RDP, Mr. Tap, is like a hockey player. He forget everything the next day, and then he's ready
Perfect.
to cheer up that team. He's really close to tell us the Canada did a mistake to not bring David Levi on the team Canada on the foundation about that part. RDP, glad to see you. David from Florida now. He left the Nova Scotia for Orlando. I can understand his situation. One week Kings in the house. Welcome back, Ron. Thanks again for your support of the super chat yesterday. Pizza is in the house. Welcome back, Mr. Pizza. RG Calabo back now. RG, hopefully you're doing well, by the way. Glad to see you from New Jersey. And then we have a PLW. Tonight is going with Mitch Marner to score a goal. Hopefully, we're going to get that. Yamo Vertanen is from Finland. Welcome back. Hopefully, doing well. Alan Bianco, he ran from Nashville. Well, maybe not from Nashville, but his wife loved the Nashville, and Alan loved the Montreal Canadiens. So we are going to have a clash, Mr. Nartab, Thursday night in the family of Vaillancourt in Kentucky. But we'll see what's happening over there. We'll see who will be the winner of that one. Ronnie Odette knocked the doors directly from somewhere in Quebec City, Mr. Nartap. Claude Richard from Ottawa, welcome back. Thanks to be with us, Claude. Mark Elliott, welcome also with us. LDP said no comments, by the way, Mr. Nartap, about this one over there. Why do you think the players who are not protected go early in the draft are now been draft early? Why do you think the players who were not protected to go early in the draft are now been drafted early? Over the years, players protected to go on the second round are been drafted in the first round. So not that.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Me too. I don't know sure, so I'm going to put this right there. The only main time you're going to read the question is not that. I just want to let you know Boston lead 3-2.
Okay. 3-1. Good.
Yeah.
Well, not good. we don't want Boston. We don't want Boston to win. Come on.
And who scored the goal? Brett Marchand.
Of course. Now he's so happy he's on the Four Nations Canada team. I'm sure he'll respond in spades.
So this is a question over the years, Mr. I don't know if you read it. Frank.
Yeah, I read it.
I think projected rather than protected. So why are some players who are projected into second rounds are now being drafted in the first round? The thing is, when it comes to the draft, there are some lists out there, some public lists from different outlets and experts and so on, but every team has a bunch of different lists, right? So someone who it feels like the consensus on the outlets is a second rounder could be someone's number 10th overall pick, right? So we have every year these guys, once you get outside of the top 10, it gets pretty muddy. And especially in the late, mid 20s, it gets really, really muddy. I think people are taking chances on players with something in their game that they like. If there's one component of their play, when you get into that later first round area, if there's a component of his game that you like, maybe you focus on that rather than trying to go with a safer pick who has maybe a safer floor. So rather than that, you pick a player that maybe is a bit more of a project, maybe is a bit more of an outlier according to different outlets, but for you has projectable skills, and then you can work on honing the rest of the craft and making sure that he's a viable project.
Awesome. Thanks to clarify the situation about that. I guess we'll start with the the news, and it's just very quickly about the injuries. Very bad news for the Dallas Star. Tyler Seguin is going to be out for 4 to 6 months. That could be if they are the playoff, maybe back in the playoff. That's the bad news. The good news if he takes 6 months, but could help in the situation on the salary cap, Mr. Top, during the playoff. Honestly, they can save 9.5? I think he's 8.5, $9.5 million
He's
again
around
contract.
eight and a half, I believe. Yeah.
So they can use the Tampa Bay Lightning's rules, Mr. Tap, during the playoff, and they
The
can use
Vegas as
that
well.
that money over there. So it'll be interesting what happening with the Dallas Stars. Then Minnesota announced Eriksson is out week to week. This is another blowout for them because Eriksson EK is a really important player in the lineup for the Wild because the center line is not good. But it's not good. I'm sorry. It's not great. Marco Rossi, a 5'9", center number one. Eriksson AK right there. They have also Kudrow at the third line. And then they use the Russian kid. So not much right there. So missing him, that would complicate a little bit. And they already Zuccarello out now for a long-term injury reserve. So the Wild still battle and hanging there and the top of the division, the Central Division. This is not a very good news for the Minnesota Wild. So we have to see what's happening um, with that situation with the Minnesota Wild. And meanwhile, the Laval Rocket, after 40 minutes, 1-1. So 27 shot for the Laval Rocket, guys, and 23 for the Syracuse Crunch. The head coach, Mr. Tap, is who for the Syracuse Crunch?
I'm not sure.
Franks.
I'm not sure.
Beats me.
You got me on that one.
Joel Bouchard.
Okay.
Back in the saddle.
Ex from Laval Rocket and inside
That's
of the
right.
organization of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I just want to share with that, and I want to put you on the hot
seat
already
right
at
away.
the beginning of the show. I don't want to lose you right away, right there. So let's start it with right there. That is the big subject of the evening. Before we talk about Montreal Canadien, it's happening today, guys. The Four Nation roster with Finland, Sweden, USA, and Canada. Montreal have Joan Armia and Patrik Laine with the Team Finland, and Montembeault make the team of the Team Canada. No Caulfield with the Team USA, and no Suzuki with the Team Canada. But I want to share it with you if I can get it now. The Four Nation on my graphic to talk about what happening on this. It was announced, I think it was 6:30 today. I think both team earlier it was 2:30, and then USA and Canada was at 6:30. So I don't know, Frank, you watched that roster or in our tap, what they look like, Canada, and also who is missing, or you're a little bit surprised at different players inside of that team. We know this starts February 12th, 2025. This is a tournament where take the spot over the All-Star game for the NHL. So it's going to be a game play in Montreal at the beginning. Then it will be transferred to the Boston area at the Diddy Garden for the semifinal and the final. So let's start with an top on that one for Team Canada. If you're not top, you're not freezing right now. If not, Mr. Frank, you can start with that
I think he's frozen. Unfortunately, he got too frozen by this amazing lineup. I mean, it's an all-star roster. Let's get real. In terms of emissions, you could argue that there are some young guns that could be there, like a Connor Bedard or someone like a Macklin Celebrini. But I think Bedard is not having such a fantastic season, but they're also quite young guys. I think they definitely went with a little bit more of experience and some grit in some instances. So no issues there. I think the main thing is the defense looks incredible and the goaltending looks a little bit shakier. You compare it to what the US have between the pipes. It might be where the cup gets won, to be honest, because you compare Binnington, Hill, and Montembeault. I'm not sure who would be the starter here. Like, I think they probably want to go with Binnington, but in all fairness, it could be a toss up in my opinion. Whereas for the U.S., it's an embarrassment of riches, right? They have we'll get into that, I'm sure, in a couple of seconds, but the U.S. goaltending is head and shoulders above. I think defenseman wise, it's pretty close. Forwards as well. I think it's going to be very interesting matchups because U.S. is also very much stacked. We'll see about that, but I love that they've included a guy like Seth Jarvis, who's not maybe like the highest profile. He doesn't have like a. I don't even know that he's a point per game this season, but he's probably the kind of guy you want as a 13th forward, right? He's a guy who could be sort of a skill guy if you have an injury that can slot in your middle six. If you have a role for him, and if he sits a couple games, he's not going to pout. I think he's a good, like, he looks like he's a fun guy in the dressing room as well, which is also important. So yeah, I think it's a good, nice sort of gel guy that they've added there that could mean a lot for this team.
Yeah, absolutely right about that. When you talk about Connor McDavid, right, and with McKinnon and of course Sidney Crosby, right there, just I hope it's a big three player for Team Canada. But I almost call them Canada backslash Tampa Bay Lightning with Point, Cyril Lee, and Brendan Agel. A little bit surprised to see Cyril Lee there and Brendan Agel there. But at the end of the day, Canada have a good lineup. On the defenseman, for me, Sanham and also Pariko is there. I don't know why they don't bring Evan Bouchard. What I'm thinking about is I know we have Kel McCarr already there, but I think Bouchard could help him more as Sanham or Pariko. Carrying the puck. I know defensively is not there, but it's happening
Yeah.
something to in McCarr. I think this is where Bouchard can step up more his game, and that'll be my only thing is I wish he have a better spot for him. A little bit surprised for defensively. The three goaltender, I know Bennington Hill was announced before that, but that's not main. That's not fact like Montebo is not going to play. It's going to be possible Montebo could be that goaltender, Frank, if Bennington fall apart or ill. So if you think about this on number of the goal the game winning this year in NHL, Franks, the stat are Bennington is Montebo is the best goaltender between three of them. Sorry about that. Try to figure out Mr. Nartap somewhere. So welcome back, Mr. Nartap. We tried to catch up, tried to reach Marco, but he was not available. So, but he's okay. What I was trying to say, Frank, is like on the one they win the game, like Hill, Bennington, or Montebo. Montebo have the best stats between three goaltenders. So point behind that is still we don't know yet what he looked like Montebo if the team in front of him was a little bit better on the defenseman first of all, and I would be interested in what he did accomplish for the World Championship couple years ago. A couple years ago, it was the MVP. So I don't be surprised Montebo could be part of the couple of games with the Team Canada if they need him. So I think
that's true.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, no, that's true. There and there's also like a couple months of hockey still to be played, right? It's in mid-February, I believe. So a lot of things can change, right? Montagu could go on a heater, Bennington could go on a dip. So you never know how it plays out. But that's a very valid point that Montagu really stepped up when he played the World Championship, and he doesn't have anyone that resemble a lineup of Cale Makar, Devin Taves, and Josh Morrissey in front of him in Montreal this year. So having those guys in front of him could really help. Any goaltender realistically, but someone like Montado could really shine in that scenario.
Exactly. So, Mr. Tap, you missed the Team Canada. So I'm going to talk to you about Team USA, if you don't mind about that. This is a team really deep. Honestly, if you look about that lineup without Cole Caulfield. So, and I would like to hear from you. What do you think about Cole Caulfield? Why did not make a? Are you surprised? Are you shocked without Cole Caulfield on that lineup? And the goaltender, Mr. Tapler, All three goaltenders could be the number one or all the for Team Canada, by the way. If you think about that, the defenseman, Fox, Hughes, McEnroy, this is you have best defenseman on on the offensive side and on the defensive side. Two-way defenseman right there, and the forward, Jack Hughes, the brother, Kachuk brother, and then you have Trocheck, Jake Wenzel, Boldy, Connor, Jack Eichel. This is a really deep, deep, deep lineup. Enough that.
Yeah, it definitely is, guys. When you look at the forwards, they're almost. I would say they're almost at par with Canada's. I like the depth at center that Canada has a little bit more, and but really, like you look at a lineup like this where you got Hughes and Larkin and Eichel and the Kachucks, Matt Austin Matthews, like they're going to be probably second to none. Defensively, again, I would probably give them like an A minus if I had to grade them because they're a solid group. They have stay at home defensemen that are very good, but they also have some guys that really can carry the puck and bring some offense to the table. Guys like McAvoy, Werenski, of course, Quinn Hughes. Those are three that come to mind quickest. Adam Fox is not having the greatest of years this year, but we know what his DNA is like, and so he'll rise to the occasion. And by far, I would say the goaltenders are probably the best in the entire tournament. It's going to be hard, regardless of who goes in net for USA to get any pucks by them. But I think the key is going to be bringing the play on and just trying to create opportunities, especially in front of the net. If you can somehow, pepper them with shots and get those rebounds. And I think Canada has those kind of players, and it'll be very interesting. I think when you look at, Coach, to answer your question about Cole Caulfield, I'm surprised and I'm not surprised, right? I'm surprised in the fact that obviously, he's having a very good year and he's one of the top scorers this year, and it makes total sense to put him on the team. But by the same token, from the way I see it, this Four Nations tournament is really a preamble, or if you want to call it, a training camp to the Olympics. And I sincerely doubt that just because he isn't on the team now, he won't be at the Olympics. Like he'll definitely be there at that point. I think what they're trying to do here, because it's a round robin, and there's just the three games, and then you're right to the finals, the top two teams. You're trying to get people that have the most experience in there, that have played together. Like if you look at, especially Canada, more so than the US, there's a lot of pairings on the team. Like when you look at either the defensive pairings that played together all year, or guys like McKinnon and McDavid have played together before. So it's going to be very interesting, and I think that's the angle they've taken. And with Canada, final thing I would say, I think some of the selections, I was listening to what you guys were saying earlier. Yeah, you can bring him into question and probably say, you know what, there were other people that maybe could have made the team, and I wouldn't disagree with that. It's valid, but I think what they're trying to do is they created the team to match up best against the USA. So when you see that there's a couple Kachucks there, it's no surprise that they put in what I would call a jam line themselves with, Bennett and Konechny. Seth Jarvis can bring it too, so I think it's sort of to counteract that as well. And that's where I see it happening. But in my opinion, I think Canada and US are going to be probably the two finalists.
Great. For you, Frank, I will ask you: are you surprised that the Team USA does not have Tage Thompson and also Jason Robinson on this lineup? When you see a veteran like a Nelson what, 32 years old, 33 years old. For me, I'm not sure, but I think Thompson, a big body, 6'6", 6'7", right? And then Jason Robinson. I know Robinson doesn't have a great year, but this is a guy can do a lot. He did a lot in the past, so surprised a little bit.
Not necessarily. I think Thompson could have been a right pick in that sense, but I don't disagree with a Brock Nelson because you do need those sort of role guys, right? You need someone to be on the PK. You need someone to be on the defensive zone at the end of a game if you're protecting a lead or something like that. And this is where guys like Brock Nelson can really have more effect in that sense. So if you have a team that's stacked with just Brock Nelson's it's a losing recipe. But having a couple of those guys peppered in, Vinny Trocheck is the same to me. Is the kind of guy who can be sort of at the bottom of the lineup, playing a role, being annoying, being creating those takeaways, those turnovers, being really annoying to play against. Because you do need that as well. It's not an all-star game. You need to have a bit of a balance. So, yeah, nothing against the Brock Nelson selection over a Caulfield or a Thompson, for example, because I think you do need some of those guys somewhere in the lineup.
We'll see what happening. This start February 12th and 2025. Take the spot of the All-Star game. And I know some people doesn't do it. Some, they like it. I think for me, to see an All-Star game the last couple of years, it would be good to see that. That's a little bit the preview of what could happen. I think at the Olympic 2026. So I think it's good to see this. It will be a little bit more entertaining at one All-Star game and shoot the puck from the beach to the middle of the Vegas. So I believe it would be good. The next subject, guys. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add also, if people aren't aware, even the point system that's awarded is slightly different than what we have in the NHL. They're being awarded 3 points for a regular time win, 2 points if it's an overtime or a shootout win, 1 point if it's an overtime or shootout loss, and obviously no points if they lose in regular time. So that might come into factor as well, and I'm sure they thought about that in creating their rosters.
Thanks to clarify this in our time. We want thanks also, Ronnie. Don't forget everybody to click on the like if you don't mind. And that's happening last night. This is the next subject of what we got, guys, for us for you.
Et la première étoile, the first star, Patrik Laine.
That's happening yesterday at the Bell Center. One month again, went by the score 2-1 again, the New York Islanders, and overtime. It was a great performance for the Montreal Canadien last night. And we're going to see a little bit the recap of the game by both of you and what you think about the performance of the Montreal Canadien. I want to share with you a little bit the number of what happening, and then you can talk about the game. Montreal, honestly, have 27 shots, Islanders 31. Face-off, Montreal 56% versus 44. Following by Montreal power play 1 and 2, PK 0-3. And then the hit on the Montreal total was 37. Individually, Montebo save percentage of 968. Zuski 2-point game winning goal and a save percentage face-off of 72.7. Jekai 1850, 5 shots on the net, 3 hits. Sakeski and Anderson a combined of 10 hits together. 6 by Sakeski, 4 by Anderson. And we have the number 92 with a rocket, like he did many times with the Columbus and the Winnipeg Jets. Scored a first goal with the team, the Bleu Blanc Rouge. And Montreal went by score 2-1 against the New York Islanders. Listen, I don't want to hear any negativity in the chat. Don't tell me this guy did not play well. It's time to celebrate. It's not happened a lot. Mais je mets mes lunettes roses, là, puis je m'en vais all the way to the mix right there. So for 24 hours until tomorrow, I'm just one happiness about the Montreal Canadiens. So, Frank, give us your recap of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway is positive, right? This is a feel good win after a not so great weekend, right? So that felt good. I think there was an energy in the air, like in the building. You could tell people were excited for Laine to come back. Even the players, like we saw the footage after the game, like they're celebrating with him, like very, strongly and loudly. I think they were all very excited for him as well. You know, overall, that's the biggest takeaway to me. It's like I don't think Patrik Laine makes this team a playoff team overnight. It's not going to happen. But it maybe gives them a little bit more confidence, a little bit more pep, a little bit more mojo. Maybe they're a little bit more confident that hey, we can take on better teams and win some games. Arguably, that was the Islanders, who are not the best team in the league, and it still managed to be a pretty even affair. It's not like they dominated or anything. But overall, I would say it smells good. It feels good. Like the team was probably happy for Laine, happy to see him back. You probably are happy that there's a new page on the season that they can start writing now with one of their top guns back in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Mr. Notap?
Yeah, it was a great game. And coach, like I still have my, what do they call, the lunette rouge?
Eh, les rouges, les
My
lettres rouges.
my French is horrible. My French is horrible, but I carry it with me all the time because you have to always look at the positives when you're a rebuilding team. And I thought that yesterday, a lot of things that you mentioned, Frank, exactly were there. For me, the fascinating part, and we'll probably get to it later as well, was the fact that our face-off victories of 56%. And if you look at the overall stats, the Islanders are the number one team in face-off victories and percentages. So for Montreal to come ahead 56%, I thought that was a great accomplishment. I always like to look at the special teams as well. And there was one stat I read about a month ago that if a team can, per game, if a team can get 120%, both combined power play percentage and penalty kill, that they win. I think it was 84 or 85% of their games. And we saw that in action yesterday. Montreal was 1 for 2, 50% there, and 0 for 3 on the penalty kill. So that's 100. So they reached a very a nice milestone. They weren't, I mean, they were outshot, but it was a very close affair. I thought we had a lot of players that stepped up. I didn't see too many ghosts out there, as we have seen in some previous games. I thought the talk with Hughes and Slavkovsky was productive, especially when you see Slavkovsky coming out and leading the team in hits, and he was much more engaged. He was involved. Yes, there's still a lot of things he has to work on, but they're encouraging signs. I thought Anderson was involved as well, and of course that first line was buzzing all night pretty much. And what can you say about Laine coming back? Like it's like you were saying, it just gives the team such a lift to have a player that's been there before and is sort of a veteran voice that can, even when the going gets tough, he can sort of orchestrate them through it a little bit, right? And it's all, I mean, 90% of it is mental. And if they can stay in games and bring their A game all night, I mean, that's fantastic. That's all you ask for. Finally, I would say the goaltending. I mean, Montembeault was very focused last night. I mean, it wasn't until the third consecutive rebound that goal went in off of that shot. So I was pleased with it, and I thought the defensive unit overall again was like we're seeing improvement every single game. So it's encouraging to see. Now you could say it was the Islanders, but I mean they're not a pushover. That's exactly the kind of game they want to play. Very low scoring. Be opportunistic when a chance comes up and try to win that way. And if you notice, a lot of their games go to overtime, and that's the one thing that had me worried before the game even started. But of course, they had a great overtime, and we'll take the 2 points whenever they come.
There's two things also that really stood out. So I really enjoyed the Jacky and Savard pairing. I think they played probably one of their best games since they've been put together. They look really solid yesterday, in my opinion. Jacky played a more polished kind of smarter kind of game. I would say yes, he took a penalty, but ultimately a lot of his hits were sort of controlled. A lot of his play was more controlled. I thought there was a lot of composure to his game. That really was more evident yesterday than previous showings, in my opinion. And there's also one shift in particular that I really hope is the building block for something to come. But there was one sequence where I think Laine was on the ice for a whole 2 minutes, I believe, where he spent the entire time in the offensive zone. But most of that 2 minutes was the Laine unit with Kirby Dach and Slavkovsky. And they're all three big body guys who are extremely crafty at puck protection along the boards. Kirby Dach, we've seen it less this year, but last year it was so evident how he was winning every single board battle, it felt like. So yesterday there was one particular shift. If that's the one takeaway for me from that game. There was one particular shift where they looked so dominant, three of them, just sort of going around the ice, doing whatever they wanted, controlled the play, circled around the whole team for a whole minute. And that, to me, with these three guys together, if they can do that consistently throughout the rest of the season, that's going to be huge, huge, huge improvement. And it's going to lead to a lot of goals in one games, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Is it the shift
that's
you're
a very
talking about? Sorry, Nathan. Is it the shift you're talking about when Slavkovsky win the battle twice, retrieve the puck, and then return the puck after that to Dach and Laine? That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah,
after that,
they look. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Frank, you bring up an excellent point, because what that also does is it takes a little bit of pressure off of that first line. If you have a bigger bruising second line that is also scoring threat, if they can get their act a little bit together, and referring to Dach and getting back to his form, and Slavkovsky as well. But you're right, those guys can really wear you down, and it opens up a little bit more ice and time for that first line as well. And we saw that yesterday.
Yeah, it was one shift, but that's my takeaway, man. If they can do that 2 times, 3 times over the next few games, 4 times, and 6 times by February, I think we're going to be in a much better
Amazing.
place.
Yeah. I would also throw in Coach Matheson in that equation, because I thought he had a really bad game the night before, or 2 nights before, and he was really disappointed in his performance. But he made a point of it to come back, and he was very strong. I think he had about 3 or 4 block shots. He had, I think he just had the 1 assist, but he was a +1. He was involved all night long and didn't make many mistakes. And what we're forgetting also is Matheson now has been shifted over on the right side, so that Gouli can go to his more natural position, which is on the left. And anytime you do that to a defenseman, there's very few that can play both sides. But it takes a while to get sort of acclimated to that spot.
Yeah, no, it does. But also, in my opinion, they have this dilemma, in my opinion, if they want to use these two together, which they have been doing for a while, which is Gouli and Matheson, where on the one hand, you have a young developing guy that you don't want to throw on the right side too much. I think he did okay, in all fairness to him. But I think for his development, I've been arguing and I've been banging that drum that I think he should be on the left side. Whereas Matheson, you're looking at probably someone who's going to be a trade target, maybe this trade deadline or maybe next season at some point. So you don't want to diminish his value too much. Now we've seen Hudson on PP1 yesterday. So Matheson's taking a step back here. If he's playing on his right side, maybe you're diminishing his value a little bit there if he doesn't pan out the way they hope to. So it's an interesting dilemma. I like that they're trying it out. Let's hope it works out. But this could very well blow up in their face at the same time. So a gutsy decision, I would say.
bad news, Laval losing 2-1 right now. Derek Pouliot, he looked like a Paul Coffey against the Laval Rocket this year. 5 goals this year. 3 of them is against the Laval Rocket. Pouliot, defenseman. So I just want to share with you what's going on over there. And the Boston College right now, I'm really shocked on that one. It's still 1-1 with 9 minutes to go remaining on the third period. Why? Because Connecticut have a record of 7-9-1, or not in the ranking of the college versus Boston is number 3. So this sometimes it's happening. Honestly, an underdog NCAA team beat a big team, but still we'll see. With only 1 minute to go remaining, so 1 minute to go remaining, and if you want to see college, Fuller stopped 20 of the 21 shot he faced tonight. Teddy Seagar scored a goal for the Boston College, assisted by Gabe Perrault. So you get everything what's going on, everything about that one over there. A lot of people talking in the chat. Thanks so much, everybody sharing about this. Now, it was the first time after 226 game behind the bench for the Montreal Canadien. Martin said we have a full roster.
Lineup.
Never happened before. First time behind the bench. It's far to see Belzile on the bench right now. But this is what happened yesterday. So what is the deep about that? Is because now you have full 4-line. His option is a little bit better. And that gave a better chance for Montreal Canadien, honestly. And that also get a little bit the first line Kofinsky. Because at the end of the day, when you play Montreal, another team can say, you know what, if we stop the first line, the rest of the team, we have a better chance to win. So now they have to split between 2 lines. Of course, this is the first game of Patrik Laine with Dak and Sakoski. Of course, he scored a goal. He's going to be motivated for the game number 2, 3, 4, 5. But like any injury in NHL, guys, you hit the wall after game 5, 6, 7. It will happen with him. 99.9 is happening in NHL. So we'll see after that. But until then, we have to look about the chemistry on the second line for the Montreal Canadiens. So great performance overall, honestly. And like we do at the recap game, we give a little bit 3 different direction: the stood out players, the obscure, and at the office. A game last night, you can name maybe 2 players if you want to feel that way. Not a problem. So we start with enough tap, so you know what I'm talking about. Then Frank, so you can go with that.
Okay, with the stood out, I mean, there's a number of players you can go with, but to me, I'm going to go with Suzuki. I think a lot of times he takes a lot of heat, but what we fail to realize is he's the first line centerman, and he's still producing, even though he draws the best line defensively from the opposing team. He still manages to get approximately a point per game. And yesterday, no difference there with his goal in overtime, and he had a nice assist on the Laine goal as well. He steps up all the time, and that's what I like to see out of a captain. Obscure, I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. I'm not going to name a particular player, but I'm going to go back to the event, and that is the winning the faceoffs. Yesterday at 56% against a team that is number 1 in the NHL for face-off victories. So I thought that was amazing, because what it means is you have puck possession, and if you have puck possession, you're pretty much dictating the play rather than chasing the play. And then at the office, that's a hard one, because I thought they all played well, but if I had to maybe go with it one, I still didn't see much out of Newhook yesterday. I mean, part of it is him being in a slump and in a certain mindset, but the other part of it is also, I don't think he's playing in the right chair. I know they have him on that first line, which I'm not crazy about, because it makes that first line smallish, and not very difficult to sort of beat in battles in the corners. So I'm going to throw Newhook in that spot right now. How about you, Frank?
Drum roll.
We have a phone call from Laval Rocket. They just tied the game. RHP scored second goal of the season, assisted by Simoneau et Dauphin. So 2-2 at 11:27. Unique situation on this game, 2-2 for goal. All the goals are on power play. Sorry, Frank, I was just, just let you know.
Well, going back to that 120% you were referring to earlier, my friend. So to me, stood out. I think Montabo's got to be the guy. He had a whale of a game yesterday. This is not the hardest team, the best team. This is not McDavid. This is not McKinnon. But he really stood on his head at several occasions. It really took a lot to get one by him. So at any game where your goaltender is only allowing one and it takes everyone to throw the kitchen in the sink at him, you're going to have a very good chance at winning games. So good on him for that. The obscure one to me was Josh Anderson. I think a lot of people, and you've mentioned it earlier as well, but I think a lot of people have been harsh on him, especially last season. And I have been part of those. But I will say yesterday, the way he's played, I think he was everywhere. He was creating a lot of things. He was pushing the defenders all the way back and going at them. He was making them sort of double check behind their shoulders. He did a little spinorama at some point close to the net. Like he was trying some things. I felt he was very, very much involved in creating a lot of things. I don't know that he has any points, but ultimately I think it was a good reason why they won because of his relentless forecheck and pressure. So good on him for that. Likewise, I don't have anyone that really stood out in the negative way at the office. Maybe like a Jaden Struble who had a bit of a bad penalty at the end of the first, I believe, at the very last second of the first period. Maybe that was maybe a little junior there, but it seemed like it was a very close call. So we're gonna let it slap. We're gonna let it slide this time.
Yeah, it's the marriage. The fact that he got married over the summer, Anderson, that's what's made the difference in his play, I think.
Perhaps it is.
That stood out. Honestly, a lot of players can be there for the Montreal Canadien. I have to go with Nick Suzuki and Samuel Montembeault. Lead the way, like I did on my 3-key takeaway of that game. Suzuki 2 point. I know on the secondary assist, but still, this is a good point. And then the game-winning goal. It's funny because he did the same thing when he beat last week in overtime. Is it Columbus? No.
Columbus.
Utah.
Yeah,
no?
they beat.
I forget, but you're right. It was the same thing, like him driving the net with a shot and then took his own rebound.
Rebound on the forehand. And this time last night, he was on the backhand for Suzuki. So great weight. Montembeault was solid between the pipe. One Montembeault does the same thing he did last night and all year long. That gave a better chance for the Montreal Canadiens. That's what we're looking for. You know, like any goalie is going to give some bad goals, but if you keep your team in the game with big save at the right time, that's better chance for the team to win. And he did it again. This is his third best performance at the Bell Center this year after he beat Toronto 1-0 and Edmonton Oilers at 3-0. And maybe, I don't know, Frank, enough that, but how you feel about that? Do you think two things? When he knew from Team Canada Sunday night, he was going to be a part of the Team Canada, motivate him, and the fact he was play again in front of Patrik Laine is another motivation. Do you think this could change a little bit his behavior or his mental of the game preparation because of those situations, Franks?
Yeah, I thought about it too, when I saw the stats line just a couple slides ago, and I was like, maybe he got the nod for Team Canada, and that gave him a little extra pep. So that's not impossible.
Yeah, I think it's right about that. So, Mr. Up, we have a phone call.
Laval.
From Boston College. I'm sorry about to hear that. Jacob Fuller get another W tonight. They win an overtime 2-1. Fuller's up 20 of the 21 shots. Again, the player of the month and the East Hockey League. Fuller with a performance at 6-1 with a save percentage of 934, I believe, and again, average of 1.61 during the month of November. He started December the same way with only one goal tonight. Jacob Fuller got another W with the Boston College. Boston College won tonight by a score 2-1. And
Keep it
the
up,
goal
fella.
is coming from who, Mr. Tap? Jimmy Higgins scored a goal assisted by Sika and Fuller. Get an assist, Mr. Tap. Jacob Fuller get an assist, guys. No, be careful.
He does it all.
Hey, now it's going to be a great hockey player for the Montreal Canadiens. But again, I just want to share with you, Mr. Tap, what happening in Boston College. 2-2, 5 minutes to go remaining at Syracuse. Sorry about that. I cut you about time, Mr. Tap. But
No. That's always great news to hear, Coach. Anytime you want to interrupt with that kind of news, we'll take it.
The
Sounds
joys
good.
of live streaming.
So
That's
I
it.
was going
Dollar
talking
looks
about
legit, eh?
Montego, Mr. Tap.
Sorry. Oh, about Montebo. Yeah, I was going to agree with what you both said. I think sometimes it can play because on your mind and your game, it's all about mindset. As I said earlier, it definitely doesn't hurt. I just hope that that's not his only motivation to play well, because it's a very quick series in and out. So he has to be thinking, I think, more long term in terms of his own. Showcasing in terms of being on this team in the future, and he wants to make that. He has to try to make that decision as difficult as possible on the coaching staff, in terms of is he going to be a number one, or is he going to be a backup, or is he even going to be on the team? Like, we have to keep all those things in mind, and the only way he's going to remain at that level is if he continues to play well like he did yesterday.
Great point about that. I just want to mention to you, guys, Connor Hughes is not in the lineup tonight for the Laval Rocket. Caledon is the backup of Tobesh. And Albertson is unbelievable between the pipe for Syracuse. Stop at 33 shot on the 35 with Laval Rocket tonight. So I just want to share with you what's happening for the Laval Rocket. So obscure guys have two. It's a double time tonight. It's a double. So I'm going to go with Josh Anderson for the Montreal Canadien and then Albert Jacquet. I believe yesterday Jacquet was maybe his best game of the season with the Montreal Canadien. And also for Jacquet, he played a solid, good game with the Montreal since he fight Mathieu Olivier. I don't know what happening for that part, but I see Jacquet transform after that fight, in my opinion. Jacquet play better. He carry on the puck more. I would like to have use a little bit his slap shot more often, but I cannot complain, guys. Yesterday, kept control, positioning on the ice was great. Battle in the corner, won the battle over there. And once Jacquet played that level, that satisfied the third pairing as a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. And that's what we're looking for. And that's what we hope he can become an NHL with consistency game after game. Josh Anderson, guys, yes, both of them are no point they are not on the score sheet, but Josh Anderson, what he brings is a forechecking, guys, with the third line with Tavares Gallagher. A couple of hit yesterday, but most of the thing, Anderson, since beginning season, is excellent on the PK. Montreal is Islander are 0-3 yesterday, and Anderson, I cannot complaining this year compared to last year. He bounced back. And this is a great for the Montreal Canadiens to see Josh Anderson. And the office, guys, nobody. They off for the office for Martin St. Louis. You don't need to talk with anyone. Other than the fact, yesterday, I want to mention that. I bring that information. Monday, frankly, I no practice Monday. So everybody was day off after they came back for the trip in Boston, after they lost both a game at during weekend, where they deserve better. But still, but we have one player show up at the office, and someone from the organization talked with this player. It was Juraj Sakarsky. Sakarsky here a lot of time by Martin St. Louis what he need to improve. But sometimes you need to hear from the principal at school sometimes to a little bit to bring you back at the right spot in the class, Franks. So he made Ken Hughes Monday afternoon Big meeting between both of them. I think Sakowski responded very well yesterday during that game against the New York Islanders. But are you surprised of that? A couple of people on my video today mentioned why can you talk with the guys? It said maybe Martin St-Louis his voice that's not good enough. But I don't see that way. But what do you think about that situation about can use meet Uri Sakowski?
I have no issues with it. Ultimately, this is the new NHL, right? This is an NHL where it's been said numerous times that the younger players like to have open communications with the coaching staff, with the management. They know they want to have clear direction and they want to have instructions on how to achieve, their and meet the expectations that have been placed upon them. Juraj Slavkovsky signed an 8-year contract this summer as well. So there has to be heightened expectations. And maybe this is just Can't Use being also a former agent that knows that sometimes when a young player signs a big contract, they feel like they have to to carry the weight on the whole team on their shoulders, where they're not required to. So maybe it's just him being tactful, being a little savvy with the new generation of players, and just reassuring him that, hey, like, I fully agree, like, this is not where we wanted you to be right now, but there's a way forward here. So let's not kick our shoes and kick our feet, and let's get to work.
And now that
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know what it kind of reminds me of, Frank and Coach? It's kind of like, when your mother keeps telling you to do something, and for a while you're listening, and then after it becomes less and less prominent, and it comes to a point where she says, go see your father right now. And just to get a different voice, and to get a little bit of fear sort of installed into you. And I don't think that was the purpose to make him fearful, but just to hear the message in a slightly different way from somebody above the coach. And I don't think it's as negative as it was made out to be. I think it was more just confirmational in terms of saying, hey, these are our expectations of you. We know you're trying, you're doing this and that, but maybe let's try to emphasize little victories along the way. It doesn't all have to be done in one game or two games, but work on one thing, perfect it, and then move on to the next thing that you can improve upon.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You have a question, but maybe not a question, but maybe comments about Eneman over New Hook on the first line. Are you agree or disagree with that comments, Franks?
I think it's worth a shot. Like you said earlier, New Hook, I don't know that he's the right guy to be on the first line. I think he's a middle six guy. Whereas Heineman could bring something to this roster, to this line that New York doesn't. Right? He can play a bit more physical. He could be a bit more plays with a heavier stick in some sense. Like, he doesn't have the same foot speed, but he has that sort of a grinder attribute. But he could also be a shooter, right? Which is not necessarily something New Hook is also. New Hook is more of a pass first guy, so there could be a really interesting fit here. It could be definitely worth a shot. I don't know that Heineman is a long-term solution as a first-line player, but maybe it could be interesting to have something a little bit different, someone who brings a little bit of a different game to try and shake things up. And also, New Hook on the third line becomes in a much better suited chair for him. We talk about having like a full roster now, so you can start deploying players in a fashion that sort of balances things out. So having him with, say, like a Jake Evans and a Josh Anderson could be, or a Gallagher, is perhaps like a more balanced third line that could perhaps give you some secondary scoring as well. So it could be an interesting avenue. I would, if it happens tomorrow, I'm not going to go on every blog and try to write that it's a terrible decision that's going to tank this team.
And how's that?
I think, Frank, we've sort of emphasized over the last couple of shows. I'm not really a proponent of trying to mix up the lines too much. As a matter of fact, if it were up to me, I would still leave Slavkovsky on that first line, just because He gives him some size. He's good in front of the net as well, and they had some good chemistry going last year. So I think that's best. I think in Heineman's case, it's not so much that he doesn't have the skills for it, but it's maybe putting a lot of pressure on him right away. He's starting to finally get some success there on that fourth line alongside Evans and Armia, and he's also drawing weaker defenders, so it gives them the opportunity to experience some success. So I wouldn't necessarily put him that high up just yet until he starts to really show some more confidence and production, and then maybe you might try the third or second line, whatever case might be. But again, I'm not a huge proponent of switching up the lines once you find the right chemistry.
And that's fair. And to that, if the counter to me would be Slafkovsky really started getting going when he got to play with better players. So perhaps this is a scenario that could create that for him as well. I don't know that we know what the ceiling is for Heineman. I still don't believe he's going to be a first line player, but it could be worth, I'm not saying put him there and forget him there for 20 games and whatever happens, but maybe, and we talked about, how Marty St. Louis is maybe not the best coach for in-games adjustment. But I would say if there's one game where you feel Newhook is particularly not feeling it and not completing that line well, maybe it's worth a shot to throw him out there just for a couple shifts, see how it pans out. There could be something there, even though I don't know that it would be a long-term solution.
Great point. You know what? Great comments, by the way. Overtime right now, Laval Rocket, by the way. I think sometime player play a specific role, Frank. And I think an element at the four line brings something not many other players can do on the four line. I think he mixed very well for what they're looking for the player on the four line or at this moment. And I think if you put an element on the top six, maybe not bring what he does very well right now with the Montreal Canadien, and with inexperience he has with the Montreal, does not maybe not fit very well, in my opinion, on the top six right now with the Montreal Canadien. I know what Newhook does. I understand he's not should be on the third line, but I don't think so. And the man is the right players with him at the top six. Now you can try it for 1 game, 2 game, but I don't see. I think Element brings something they don't have a lot on the four line. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me about that.
No, he's definitely well suited for his role currently. That's not the question, basically.
And after that,
yeah, I agree with that, Coach. That was my whole point earlier. I think that he's experiencing some success now on that fourth line. You'd hate to mess around with that. If anything, like I said, if you were to move, let's say, Slafkovsky back up to the first line, and then you could move if you wanted to, Heineman to the second, and Newhook to the third. I think that might be a fair juxtaposition between the three players. And I think all three of them can handle those particular chairs that they've been assigned to. It's something, worth thinking about, but we'll see how it progresses.
yes, absolutely about that. Be careful, and after that, Marco is in the chat right now, so he's going to watch you what's going on.
Come on, Marco.
About this one over there. Great comments, both of you, about this. Look, I want to hear about a little bit what the impact of Patrik Laine with the Montreal Canadien. Not only his performance. We have a breaking news from Syracuse. Owen Beck scored his 4th goal of the year for the Laval Rocket. The Laval Rocket won an overtime assist by Adam Ekstrom, his 2nd assist of the night at Laval. On overtime tonight, 3-2 against the Syracuse Crunch. And finally stopped at the 3-4 loss straight for the Laval. So big W for the Laval Rocket tonight. Sorry to cut you again.
Way to go, Owen Beck. Get up here quickly.
So, Frank, what do you think about his impact? Not because he scored a goal, but what he bring for Martin St. Louis, for the players, and for the Montreal Canadiens fans.
Yeah, I think there's 3 areas of his game that the Montreal Canadiens are going to benefit from. Number one, we all know about it. It's a shot, especially on the power play on the point on the dot there. I think he's a much more effective player than Caulfield is in that spot. So we've seen it yesterday. If there's more of that where that came from, I think the Montreal Canadiens are going to win a lot more games with some power play success coming from Patrik Laine. So that's definitely something that he brings that could be extremely useful. The other thing, we talked about it earlier, is puck protection. So on the boards in the offensive zone, he's big, he's rangy, so he draws defenders. And once they're on him, he extends and he protects the puck, and there's just no way to reach it. So a little bit like a Yager was in his day. Like, he's no Yager, but he's so big and tall and long and rangy that it's almost impossible to take it away from him when he starts to protect it along the boards, which creates more possession in the offensive zone, which creates more scoring chances, etc., etc. You're going to win more games if you have that. The other thing he brings is zone entry. We've seen it a lot. Like, he looked a little slow for obvious reasons yesterday, but as he catches up a little bit, and hopefully it happens quickly, if he starts getting his speed and his stamina a little bit more up in the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot of controlled zone entries, and that's also something Montreal Canadiens are going to benefit from, because again, once you get there, once you get in the zone, you can either protect it or rip it, which he does very well. So I think there's a lot of potential success that could be coming from his stick because of those 3 key areas that he does so well.
Well said, and after that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Frank. I agree with all of that. To me, it's about like I was saying earlier, about the mindset. I think the players are very encouraged that he's back into play. I mean, we kind of saw it in the preseason a little bit, but then when he incurred that injury and they knew he was going to be out for a while, you can almost see they were so deflated, and it sort of carried into the season as well. And now that he's back, again, it just gives them that boost of confidence. It allows them to play a little bit more at ease, thinking my role is not as much as it would have been before. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but in a sense that we have additional firepower here available. Now, keeping things in perspective as well. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, this was his first goal in, I think it was 355 days, and he's been off for a long time, and he's undergone the player protection plan and the assistance plan. Sorry, plus collarbone injury, now a knee injury. It's a lot to come back from. And as Coach was saying earlier, you'll see time lapses where it looks like maybe he's not playing at his best, but there's a reason for that, right? It takes a while to get back into game shape form. But I just love the fact that he can work with some of the younger shooters as well, and offer up suggestions on how to maybe make adjustments in their game. So it's a win-win situation. And lastly, I would say just the fact that he's in Montreal as well, it also benefits him. It's not just the other way around. Like, I was amazed by his comments yesterday when he said, I just scored a goal, and they're giving me a standing ovation, and like, he can feel how loved he is in the city already, and he's played one game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and he has aura too. Huh? Like, you could
Yeah.
tell the players really look up to him. Like, I was trying to think, like, who was the last guy who had that effect? Like, I'm thinking maybe Kovalev would have been the last. Maybe
Yeah.
Kovalchuk,
Yeah.
but he wasn't there for long. But Kovalchuk maybe had a little bit of that when he came in. People were like, "Oh, Kovalchuk is here." I think he has
Radulov
that.
as well.
Yeah,
Radulov as
Radulov
well.
was the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. So he brings that too. I think the younger players are like, "Oh shit, that's awesome. We have this guy here. Let's clean up our stuff and play the right way because we're playing with Patrik Laine tonight." I think there's a bit of
Were
that.
you guys you guys surprised at all that Martin St. Louis put him on the PP1 right away?
No, because he was penciled in. He was penciled in, from day one to be there. It's just day one happened a little later than anticipated. But we talked about this. I remember with Marco a few weeks back. But Caulfield, he looks good where he was playing like on the bumper. Like he looked all right, and I think that's where he saw some success with Team USA and other teams he played with. Whereas on the right dot, I don't know that he's had much success there. So I think they just put the right guy on the right spot, and again it goes the same for the 5x5 where you can sort of deploy your strengths more evenly throughout the lineup. Having that extra ammo on the power play allows him to sort of put other players in the right chairs as well. So I'm not surprised one bit.
Coach?
Great point about that, Patrick. We're going to move on. We have a couple of things to talk about. Before we talk about the prospect Montreal, Nick Zuski, I have one more subject before we hit the clash. Montreal Canadien missing Jake Allen. Are you agree or disagree with that part? And not that.
Here's a more interesting question, Coach. Do you think at the end of the year, this year, Caden Primo will become an RFA, if I'm not mistaken?
RFA.
Right. So chances are they probably won't tender his contract. It's probably the safest thing to do, and they'll let him go. But guess who's a UFA again next year? Jake Allen. Would you take a chance on bringing him back for a year until Fowler is ready? And he's not the only one. There's a couple of other goalies out there too as well that are probably, more viable options. But would you take a chance with Jake Allen again?
When I said that, Frank, also in our top, when I said missing Jake Allen, I want to talk about a goaltender experience for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
So that's the point about that.
Yeah, and
Frank,
that's
you
why I
can-
brought that up. Do you believe that to get that experience, they would bring him in just for one more year, and would Jake Allen go for it?
Well, I think at the end of the day, he's missing the leadership of Jake Allen, the most important thing for me, not only between the pipe, because when they have those kind of the situation, what's going on with the Montreal Canadiens, if you look about the players like Madison, Sabah, Gallagher, Armia's now 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of players with over 30 years old inside the team. And I tell you, Jake Allen, if he was with the team right now, would bring some kind of the leadership they don't have from Primo or Montembeault to calm down everything and to have a better conversation. Because Montembeault, Frank, and Artap, it's not Primo who tell him what he should need to do, what he should, I think Jake Allen, that's what he's missing the most. And for me, it's not only his performance, but more because what he bring on the table inside the locker room with many years in NHL. And I think if you get the goalie like this, like any other goalies in NHL next year, I think Jake Allen he will sign a New Jersey Messenger for 2 years contract. The New Jersey does not have other effect. They have Nick Dawes. The goaltender, they lost Schmidt to Vegas last year, so they don't have a lot of experience. To bring Brett Maxstrom and Allen maybe 2 years in Devils would be more better for him at come in Montreal. I think his time in Montreal is over, but you have to look about the goaltender at the same level like Allen, not only on the ice but more about outside to guide Montembeault between the pipe long term with the Montreal. That's what would be my suggestion, or I think that's the Montreal should targeting. So I don't know, Frank, you agree with me and about this?
I don't. I think obviously hindsight is 2020. Jake Allen is having a tremendous season. He's also playing behind a much better team, but also I think it was a good bet to go with Primo and give him that extra year. Like last year, he only played like third fiddle, so I think they wanted to give him like a full trust in the backup position. Primo is what now? He's like 24, I want to say, almost. Like he's got to be up there. Like he was drafted a while ago. So, at some point it was sort of like a make or break season for him. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's panning out. Season is still somewhat young, but I think we can all agree that is not going well. But I have no issues that they went with that youth movement, because this is, even though they said we want to be in the mix, this is year 3 of a rebuild. Like you don't expect to be a contender this year.
Certainly.
I think it was a perfect situation for him to be like, this is your year. Show us that you can play in this league. And unfortunately, it hasn't panned out. Like I don't want to see, whenever we win, like whenever Montreal wins, and it's because of Yoel Armia and Josh Anderson and David Savard, I'm always like, okay, that's cool, but also I want to see the young guys carry the team. I don't want to see older guys who are not going to be part of this team when it's contending carry the load that much. So to me, like it was an okay bet to go with Primo there, and I think you're right. The coach here, Allen is going to sign for 2-3 years, and it's not going to be in Montreal. So that's sort of a moot. It's a fun question to entertain, but it's a bit moot. And the last thing I'll say is Montalvo is got to be close to 30 now. He's got to be like 27, 28. It's not like he's
Montalvo
a
is
young
28.
gun.
26.
20. Okay, so 28.
Montalvo?
I thought he was
So 28, right?
Oh, yeah. Montalvo is over 20. He's at 28, close to 29 now.
Wow. Okay.
So he's a veteran. He's a veteran, all right. Like does he really miss a more veteran presence at age 28? It's time for him to fly, out of the nest, and he can be that veteran guy with Primo as well. Like he's been in the league long enough. So, in my opinion, hindsight is 2020 for sure. Right now, Jake Allen is a better goaltender than Kane Primo, who's probably one of the worst goaltenders stats-wise in the league right now. But I have no issues with the gamble that they've made to try and give a shot to a young gun in a sort of make or break way. Show us what you can in a year before an RFA contract, so we know where we have and whether or not we want to extend and renew the experience next year and going forward.
Great point about that. We'll move on with other things. We're going to go to the clash, if you don't mind, between not Marco, but Enartap and Frank about this. It's not a lot. It's not like a big. I think it's a couple of good questions. I think we have 4 tonight. If I can get the clash, would be good. Here we go. Absolutely or not at all. This is the answer of your question. The first question, guys, is about him. We talk about him all night, so we're now to add you one more question about him. 20 goals et plus for Patrik Laine. Frank, absolutely or not at all?
Not at all, but it's going to be close. I think if he closes the year close to 20, I think we're going to be happy.
I would probably agree with that. As much as I would love to see it, like I said, it's difficult to come back from such an extensive leave from the game and get back into form. Like I'm sure he'll get a lot of power play time, and that's where the majority of his goals might come from. So if he can hit even 15, that would be fantastic at this stage.
Okay. I would go with absolutely, and he just hit the 20. So
that's fair.
Right on the fence.
Frank said 19 or 18. I think Frank, you're talking about 17, 18, 19, right?
Yeah, I think we're all in the 15 to 20 range.
Yeah,
I think is where we're at.
Maxo absolutely. Marco said absolutely. And AK said absolutely. Marco said absolutely because Frank said not at all. That's the reason he go that about that one. Question number 2. The Habs and the mix 5 points and less at the end of December. So wherever they are, the number of the point, they are 5 points on the playoff wild card. Does it make sense? So this is if they are 5 points and less, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they will be in the mix. Are you agree at the end of December? Let's go with Enarta.
Well, I mentioned the last time that these next couple handful of games that end off December were going to be critical for Montreal. Not in terms of making the playoffs, because I think that's overshooting things by a huge margin in my eyes. But they're playing in the month of December. They're playing Nashville tomorrow. Then they have Washington, Anaheim. They have Pittsburgh, Buffalo. I think they have 2 games against Detroit. They have Columbus again, and I think they end off with Florida. So there's ample opportunity for them to. I'll be very conservative and say go at least 500. So that would allow them to pick up, let's say, about an additional 10 points here. So they should be within 5 points or less. So I'll say absolutely.
Frank.
I'll say absolutely as well. I think there's still, and you said it, like the matchups are not terrible. They're not playing like Vegas, Colorado, and Winnipeg. So it might help them to be still in the mix. But I think past January, this is where we're going to see the little bit of a gap create.
I like
You're
it.
right.
I like it. On porte des lunettes roses ce soir. Et je suis très heureux de voir ça. Que we think the Montreal will be at the absolute and the mix. So why not to be positive on tonight about that situation at the end of the
It's your
season?
fault, Coach. It's your fault because you asked us after a win. You should have asked us after the Boston game. Maybe the answers would have been different.
Exactly about that. Montreal Canadiens power play top 10 at the end of the year. Franks, absolutely or not at all?
Where are they currently? Do you know?
I think
By
they're
heart?
14th, if I'm not mistaken.
13, 14 right now.
Yeah.
And they are over 20%, 21, 22.
Okay. I'm still going to say no. Because I don't think Laine is going to score 20 goals. But, if he does, they might. So I'm going to say no.
Oh,
Not
man.
allowed for Frank. Mr. Nartap.
It's a tough one because I think they should maintain a 20% or slightly higher rate. Is that enough to put them in the top 10? It's tough. There's some really good power play units out there in the league. So I'm going to say they're going to fall slightly below that, maybe 12th or 13th, something like that. So
Now,
not
I'm
at
going
all.
to give you a number, and maybe you can change your point of view. So they are 15 right now, 21.5 at this moment. The number 10 is Chicago at 23.5. Then 9 is jumping at 23.9, but 8, 25.3. So if you have an average of 23%, you may be on the top 10. I will give you one more statistically here, guys. Last year in NHL, Vancouver, Toronto finished the season at 22.8, and they are top 10 with Dallas at 22.8. So if you are 22.5 a plus, you are in the top 10, very close, honestly. Do you change your mind? Frank, they are 21.5 right now. Do you think they would be in the top 10 if they reach the 22.5, honestly?
I'm still going to say no, but I will say we saw Hudson on PP1 yesterday. So if there's more of that with a healthy Laine, I might have to eat crow on that one.
And after that,
no, that's a very good point. Like I think Laine changes the landscape quite a bit, and so does Lane Hudson, setting him up quite a bit. I'm still gonna say not at all because I think it's a high number to aspire to, and I think this year the top 10 teams across the league are going to be around 23 to 24% and higher.
All right, I go with absolutely. And they were going to make it barely at number 10 at 22.9. I think, guys, that with Hudson, Patrik Laine, Sakaski, Caulfield, Zuski, and we could add more. I think that power play is going to get better and better and better. So I go with that one. Absolutely about this one. Next one. Do you offer a contract to Joel Armia? And after,
It's tempting because he brings quite a few things to the table. It's not just a one-dimensional player. Like he's responsible defensively. He's got that long reach. He wins battles. He seems to elevate his game when the games become bigger, especially sometimes in the playoffs. If the price is right and some of the players in Laval are not ready to make the move up, I would offer him a contract. I would say absolutely. Depends what the price is, though, and the term.
I say not at all. Not that I dislike him to a point where I just want him to go away to the moon. I think there's a team that's going to offer him a bit more money than I'm willing to spend, for one. And I also think that you need someone with a little bit more sandpaper for a role guy. And it might be coming from some of the young guns in Laval in a Jacky or a Tuck, someone like that who could be coming in and have that role player kind of guy. But it could hurt for the first year or two in his absence because, as you said, his two-way play, especially on the PK, might be missed a little bit. But
good point.
I'm sorry, you got to go.
Good point after Frank about that, because my point behind that would be my question was going to ask you. If you're losing Armia, maybe people say it's not a big deal, but who take his spot?
Exactly.
And do we open a spot for a guy like Beck, Kapanen over Armia? Other than the fact he protect the puck, like he's a big body. He play a specific role at the 4 line. I don't think so. And he's on the first serve for Montreal the next 3 years. Example, when you're going to get the next level, the Montreal Canadien, I think Armia should not. He should not be on that line on that team. So I think if they can open the spot to a young players, whatever it is, I think it will be better for Montreal a long term. So that will be my point about that. So what it is, offer coming up, not at all. And let's go with prediction. Nashville, Washington, Anaheim. Montreal 4 point et plus. Absolutely or not at all?
You want to go
not
first,
at
Frank?
all. Yeah, I'm gonna say not at all. I think it might be close. I think they might get an extra point in an overtime game here, and probably end up with 3.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic and wear my glasses here. I think both Nashville and Washington are on a back-to-back against Montreal. So if they're going to steal a couple points, it'll be there, and I think they can beat Anaheim as well. So I will go with 4+, absolutely.
All right. Toronto 3-2, by the way, with 3 minutes to go remaining against Nashville. And then Boston beat the Chicago finale 4-2. I would say to you guys, absolutely. Absolutely. I see at least 2 points. Anaheim and Nashville, there will be the 2W there, so I'll give you them 4 points. And don't be surprised you get a point. Oui, les lunettes roses à soir, là, au complet, mon ami. Washington, they can lose in overtime. A goal of Connor McMichael. Again, Montembeault be on the net on the 3 game, and I expect Montreal to win that. 2 of them, 5 points for Montreal, but 4 point plus. So, absolutely about that one. That finished, guys, the clash of this show. Honestly, on this tonight. But I want to ask you one more thing for all of you, if you don't mind. I have a other subject, but I want to finish a little bit early. Danny T knocked the door. Everybody back in the house. Welcome, everybody. Thanks to be with us. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. This is really interesting. We talked about a mixed team a couple of minutes ago. Now we talk about a team go maybe on the bottom 5. If you are the Montreal Canadien, Franks, you have a chance to draft a left defenseman, Sheffer. You have Martin as a winger and Michael Misa as a center. When I said that, you are the next on the board and on the draft team, and then all the three players are only on the board. Which one do you select, and what would be the reason you select that pick players?
Yeah, it's still early. Some of these guys might pop off, especially when their playoffs comes around, etc. World Championships might skew the balance a little bit there. But right now, if I'm looking at these three guys, I'm a big proponent of Matthew Schaefer. I think he's a stud. I think there's no one. Matthew Schaefer to me is what a lot of people think Matheson is. He's an elite, shifty, fantastic skater that can put the puck in the net and is extremely intelligent with high IQ. So I think there's no one, people like Lane Hudson, but when you look at Matt Schaefer, what he can do, I think they're going to drop their jaw. So right now, for me, even though it's not a positional need, Matthew Schaefer would be the prospect that I would be most excited about, and I would probably go for him.
And after,
It depends on what their philosophy is going to be, right? I think if they're drafting for need, which is not always the best thing to do, but in this case, do they ever, especially if Doc doesn't, in our evaluation, doesn't work out to be that centerman that they need, you obviously go with that. But if you're looking for the best player that's available right there, I mean, right now, many scouts have Schaefer rated as the number one pick overall, and I can see that because he's very generational. He's very mature for his age, and he can do so much with that puck. And now I know the argument's going to be, well, we have so many left-handed defensemen, but I would counteract that and say, well, maybe we can get one of those very good left-handed defensemen and go trade him to get that centerman we need. And you also have, I would, it's early, but I would say that Schaefer could be a generational type of player for Montreal.
I think he's de facto your best defensive prospect as soon as he's drafted. Like it's non-bar. Like, there's no one else. Like I love Goulet. I think Reinbacher is going to be fine, but there's no one in the like Hudson looks great, but Schaefer is just head and shoulders above any of these guys in my opinion.
yeah, absolutely right about that. If you think about, you have to go with the best players. I think Sheffer would be better out of both players we put now. People asking me why Higgins is not there, but honestly, I was not thinking. I put Higgins number one right now, so I was not thinking. I think Misa over Higgins because the size of Higgins and McQueen because McQueen is not a play since the beginning of the season almost. So I did not put McQueen over there. Now you can add Frontel, but Frontel play winger center. So I go with the players like Montreal have maybe more potential to draft them right now. Um, Listen, Michael Meza for me is a bit an upgrade over Michael Edge. And I'm not sure if Michael Meza is going to be an upgrade over Nick Ziski. This will be my the time will tell us. Honestly, we have to wait a little bit, right? But I don't think like Michael Meza is going to be a 100 point per year. Martin, great winger, uh, could fix the problem on the size for sure. But is it better to Sakoski? Is it better to Demidov? Is it better to Caulfield? So if it's yes, I don't see a big difference right there. But when you talk about Schaefer, this is a could be very close at Ken McCarr. I know it's going to be a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
statement here, but this is really close to the big one over there. Um,
Yeah. I
Potential
agree.
better, I couldn't use, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah, almost like
It's
a
got the
Dalian.
size. And
Yeah,
yeah, to sort of answer, because I saw Marco your comment, and it's valid, Marco. But you know what? Schaefer will not be far away. Like if they draft him this year, he could very well start next year. It might take or the year after. So you're not really. I don't think you're really setting the team that far behind 2 years. And like I said, it then gives you an option on that left side. You can take any one of those defensemen. As much as remember, we said that there would come a point where it would hurt to make a trade because you got to give up somebody to get somebody good. Well, this might be that time. In order to get the centerman you want out there, you might have to trade. And I hate to throw names out there, but a Gooley or a Hudson or whoever's on the left side there in order to get that.
Again, this is it's going to be very interesting if it's the case for Montreal Canadien. Sometime you draft 4, 5, 6, Marco, and Artap and Frank, but those names may be not there anymore, right? So, but if you have a choice between 3 of them, honestly, Schaefer will be my option right now, but we'll see. We talked tonight about the team in the mix. Now we talk about the team in the bottom 5. We don't know who they are, honestly. Montreal Canadiens, right now, they are up and down, and we cannot be overreact about what happened last night. It was fun last night. I think it was one of the best moments for the Montreal Canadiens this season, I believe, and hopefully they will continue to see 92, at least with the bad seasons we have so far, to see something to watch and to be entertaining by the number 92. I think that would be great. If Sakoski can put some goal around that, and Laine continues to mark his first goal of the season, I think that would be fun to see this in the next couple of games. Montreal play at home, so why not Laine score his first goal in NHL? I think that would be great to see that. But look, it's going to be interesting to watching them in the next couple of games. Thursday night, again, the Nashville Predators tomorrow night. And then Saturday, again, the Washington Capitals. Are you surprised, Frank, of the season of the Washington this year?
Yeah, I think everyone didn't plan for them to be this good. But I will say, like, I remember seeing the trades that they made in the summer and thinking, okay, they improved here. Oh, they improved there. They improved there. Like, they improved goaltending. They got some really good defensemen in Chychrun. Like, they got some pieces there that I thought were upgrades. So it feels like they've managed to acquire players who can really help solidify what they have. And the other thing, too, is, for a team that was a playoff team every year, they always kept their first round picks. Like, they never traded for rentals. They still managed to draft with their first round picks guys like Miroshnichenko, like Hendrix Lapierre, like Connor McMichael, who's having a tremendous start of the season. They picked guys like who else did they grab in the first round? Like, they just got Tarek Pasternak last season. So, like, they managed to still have that influx of youth that can support, in lesser roles, in entry-level contracts. And right now we're seeing some of these young guys have success in, for example, McMichael. So I think they're might be doing something that was not necessarily the model of the modern NHL, where you sort of rebuild to be competitive, and they just managed to keep the Stokes alive while keeping some of their aging vets while they're still able and capable.
Great point about that. We'll see what happening with the Washington against Montreal Canadiens Saturday night. On this, guys, we're going to finish the show early tonight. We have a couple of great conversations. Great to see the Laval Rocket win tonight by the score 3-2 in overtime. Owen Beck scored the game-winning goal for the Laval Rocket. And then we have a goal of the Joshua Roy is 9 of the season, with RHP is second of the season. Laval won. Jacob Fuller got a W tonight. Beat the Connecticut 2-1 in overtime. Jimmy Higgins, so James Higgins scored a game-winning goal for the Boston College. Fuller stopped 23 of the 24 shots he saved. Tyler Top start his game right now at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to watching Tyler Top now for the Vancouver Giants. Want to thank Artap and Franks for your participation at the show tonight for the notebook. I was glad to see all of you tonight, and we appreciate that. And the reason they are back many times is because that's who they are.
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, You have greatness inside of you.
Here we go. That's concluding another notebook tonight. Be well, be healthy. Find a way not only donate your day, but find a way to donate the second app of what, Mr. Nartap?
What else? You're 2024.
You did it again. An amazing, great night, Frank. Look forward to see you next time. And before the Christmas time, if you can come back, that'd be great. And Mr. Nartap, I will see you Sunday night for the weekly report. Have an amazing, great night, both of you. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys. Great seeing
Thank you, gentlemen.
Frank.
Thanks so much.
Likewise.
Good night.
Good night.
What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I let go? I do really want to know what's
We want to thank the both co-hosts tonight in our tap and Frank. So we want to thank the moderator Runway Kings and Luciano tonight. And we want also thanks RJ Calabo at the new update. A 4-game in NHL tonight to complete. Toronto beat the Nashville by the score 3-2. And then we have the Blackhawks lost by the score 4-2 against the Boston Bruins. 2 teams behind the Montreal Canadien. It is what it is. Golden Knights play the Anaheim Ducks tonight. And then the Star play against the Kings at 10 o'clock. A game maybe to watch tonight between both teams. Until then, my friend, we wish you an amazing, great night. We want to thank all of you to participate at the show tonight and the chat with all the likes you did so far. And great participation, Nicolas de Gobi-Bono. We have Darrell, thanks so much to be with us. Then we have Mac Elliott, PLW Abination, thanks so much. We have Marco, like I mentioned to you. Joël Daigle, welcome back, Joël. J'espère que tout va bien avec toi. Glad to see you, Joe Monella. We have Bob Smith and Rabina a little bit earlier talking. Yamo Vartanen was very active tonight. Steven also. And many others. A2 knocked the door with us tonight talking about the Montreal Canadien. The Hockey Nation show and the Ab Nation want to tell you one more thing, sir. We love you, friends. See you tomorrow night. Montreal versus the Nashville Predator. Oh. Booyah!